Good morning. It's Sunday, March 30th. This morning I'm going to talk about retirement and pensions. I don't know how much depth I'll get into, but I retired 17 years ago at the age of 72. And I retired that late because I had a great job and I enjoyed going to work and I was my own boss for many years. So work was a pleasure for me. I didn't look to get out of it and I didn't worry about anything and I was making a good living and I salted away money, so I wasn't worried about how I was going to live when I retired. And so I guess I'm one of the fortunate few when you consider all of those things, because there are many in this country who work their whole lives and when they retire, really they're not getting a big benefit or anything. And you know, recent times have changed significantly with the future monies that people expected. Years ago, you could get a job and they would have a pension plan and everything. Those things have disappeared now. Now, if you're in the workplace, you're required to save your own money in a 401k or something like that. And many people that are living in this country are well into their retirement age, and they're probably scrimping along on Social Security payments, and maybe they have some savings. But it was my experience when I was a boss, and we had plans that set up for people to put their savings away for the future. And many employees refused to do that. They were living in the moment. So every penny they earned, they were spending. They did not consider retire. They did not even think about that. Now, I know that if you're making a certain amount of money and you're living on the edge, it's very difficult to think in your mind about putting away 10% every paycheck so that you'll have some money when you finally retire. But many people don't do that. And so when you look at the United States, you find out that the income, the retirement savings that will be their future income for households where their ages are between 55 and 64. They only have about $185,000 stashed away for retirement. Now, $185,000 living in this country won't last very long, and it all depends on your Social Security payment and how much other money you might have. But you can see that as a community in the United States, we don't save a hell of a lot of money. And Social Security, which is going to change by the year 2032 in some way, shape, or form, needs to be worked on right now to ensure that this benefit that we all aspire to collect will continue beyond 2032. It's not going to drop dead, that's for sure, in any way, shape, or form, and it will just be reduced by about 15%. So if they don't get it straightened out, if they don't figure out what they're going to do after 2032, the monies that have been put aside will be put aside, and you'll collect about 85% of the value that we're getting right now. Now, that's not a terrible deal, but many of us in this country can't afford to take a pay cut like that. And we're living much longer. You know, the aged population in this country has has grown significantly, and the birth rate has gone down. So when you look at those two factors, what you have is a situation where you've got a lot of elderly people and less young people working to contribute to the health of the elderly. So we're at some kind of crossroads when you think about this, and I don't know exactly what the real answer is. I know that Social Security was one of the most successful anti-poverty programs this country ever created. So if you did not have a Social Security program, we would have 22 million more Americans at the poverty line. So think about that. Think about that. 22 million retirees would be living at the poverty line if we didn't have a Social Security system. And over 16 million of them would be over the age of 65. Now, I worked until I was 72 when I was healthy and I had a good job, and it wasn't a great physical job. I had to be mentally swift to do the work that I did. But there are many people who physically can't continue to do their work beyond 65 or 60. I guess 67 is the current number, right? So when you look at it and you realize that Social Security is very important, and it keeps about, a couple of million, more than a couple of million people out of the poverty line. And among those couple of million people that are kept out of the poverty line, almost 1 million of them are children. So we need to maintain Social Security. There's no question about that. We need to look at Social Security and make sure that we're taking care of it. We can't afford to allow Social Security to slip out of our fingers. So I don't know what's really going to happen in between now and 2032. All I know is that Congress drags their feet on everything. They won't take any action until the last minute. So while there's 8 years or so to go, I don't expect them to do much to figure out the system that's going to be in place after 2032 for those of us who will still be retired at that point in time. And if they screw the thing up, the benefits will drop by about 20%. You'll only get 83% or so of the current benefits if Congress doesn't take the appropriate actions. So they look at this and they think it's a long way off, but it's not that long. And remember, the shape of Congress changes every couple of years. So who knows when those clowns are going to get together and do the right thing for the elderly population in this country. And this country is not going to get younger in the next 10 years or so because the elderly are getting more and more elderly. So think about that. Think about the future of this country. Think about the population that is retired and not working anymore and the benefits that they are entitled to for serving this country for many years. So I leave you with these wonderful thoughts. Have a great day. Bye.